Hello, welcome back for our hip-focused mobility flow today. You'll just need a yoga block. One or two is always great to have by your mat to enhance your experiences in your postures, to raise the ground and provide yourself extra support. If you do not have a block, it's okay. You can always use just a sturdy, light object, maybe like a water bottle. We're going to use it for a little movement, playful snack, so just keep it nearby. All right, now we'll just start today standing. Okay, standing near the front of your mat with your feet about hip width distance apart. Okay, make the feet parallel to each other. Stop softening your toes. Just anchor the corners of your feet. Okay, arms could be relaxed at your sides. Standing with a neutral, natural spine. Feel free to close your eyes or keep them open. Okay, just breathe in and out of your nose. Can you keep your breath rhythmic, quiet, smooth? You try to allow your breath to move three-dimensionally, every direction, front to back, side to side, bottom to top. Before we move through our practice, do your best to just check in, assess yourself, see what you are working with today. Start where you are, and then just stay open to new things, new challenges. 2 to 3 more breaths here. If your eyes are closed, to gently blink them open. You just continue to stand tall, relaxing the shoulders. We're going to move through the neck first. Bring your chin down to your chest. Okay, smoothly turn your chin towards your right shoulder without moving anything from the shoulders down. Then we'll raise the chin gently, leaning your head back, and start to make a circle, taking your chin across to the left shoulder, then back down to your chest. Okay, continue in this direction, turning your chin to the right, lifting it up, maybe leaning your head back a touch more. Take your chin to the left, down to the chest. One more time, leading with your chin. Make as large of a circle as your neck allows. Creating this controlled articular rotation. When your chin is down again, go the opposite way. Make 3 full circles. And as we make these movements in the joints, know that you can always lessen the range of motion if you need less. Just complete your 3rd round. And when your chin is down again, look forward. Okay, so let's move on to the shoulder blades, reaching arms straight ahead of you. Palms could face each other. So just locate the shoulder blades on your upper back. We're going to move them also in a circular kind of motion. So first, elevate shoulder blades up. Shoulders can shrug. Now retract your shoulder blades towards each other, basically closing the space between them more. Now press the shoulder blades down, then protract them apart. Arms long with energy. Again, elevate shoulder blades up, retract them towards each other, depress them down, then protract them apart. Once more in this direction, lifting up, shoulder blades retract inward, press them down, then protract them apart. Let's reverse, retracting first, then elevating up, protract them apart, reach past your fingertips, depress them down. Again, retracting shoulder blades in, elevating up, protract apart. deep press down. Last time, retracting in. Shoulder blades rise, then move apart, and lastly, press them down. All right, rest your arms. Okay, relax your shoulders. Okay, for the wrists, just bend your elbows about 90 degrees and glue your upper arms to your side body. So we're gonna try to just move at the wrist joint. So with palms facing up, let's turn the hands in towards each other, and then rotate the hands, fingertips down towards the floor. Now fingers out away from center, and then up to the ceiling. So again, in towards each other. You're not rotating the arm bone. Fingers go down towards the floor, away from center and up. Last time, in towards center, down. Try to keep the palm flat, fingers away from center and up. Okay, let's reverse. Hands move away from center, fingertips downward. Then they move in and up. So just go 2 more times in this direction, mindfully, with control. Moving through your wrist joint. No rush. Okay, just check in here. Maybe noticing how each wrist is able to move. And then you could rest your arms down, give your hands a light shake. Awesome. Okay, so let's do a little bit more movement now in the mid spine. Okay, moving through the back, but specifically the mid or thoracic spine. In order to do this, we'll cross arms in front of the chest. Okay, so your spine is able to flex, extend, bend side to side, as well as rotate. So we'll try to visit all those positions. Okay, so with arms crossed, pushing through your feet. Okay, try not to move your pelvis. It's going to want to turn, so your hips stay squared forward. Let's start by gently flexing through the spine. A little flexion forward. So your gaze might move down a bit. Now turn your chest to the right as much as you can without turning the hips. Then we'll side bend to the right. So you feel your left side lengthen. Now for extension, lift behind your spine up through the chest. At the top, rotate left. Okay, now we'll side bend left and flex forward. Okay, again, rotating right first. Try not to move from the hips down. Bend to the right, lateral flexion. Then for extension, lift behind you. At the top, rotate left, bend left, and flex forward. Okay, let's go the opposite way. So from flexion, rotate left, not turning hips, bend left. Go into extension, really lift, not falling back. Rotate to the right at the top, and bend to the right. Go into flexion forward. Okay, again, we'll rotate left first, bend sideways to the left, extension next. At the top, rotate right, bend right, and go into flexion forward. All right, let's come to neutral, just a more relaxed, tall position. Arms could rest at your sides. We'll focus on the hips, hip joint soon. So for now, let's just bend the knees a little bit, and then allowing your arms to swing through space. Add some rotation here. Okay, softening the knees and just allowing one knee to move in front of the other if it happens, allowing your pelvis to turn, integrating each part of the body. Go to each side a couple more times. All right, and then coming to center, shift more weight into your left foot and just let your right heel lift. So pretty much on the ball of the right foot, on the toes, we're going to intentionally roll through the right ankle. Okay, kind of roll through the toes. Keep some more strength, more weight in your supporting leg. Make sure you roll your ankle the other way too. And then we'll plant right foot, keeping toes pointing forward, neutral. On the ball of the left foot, on the toes, roll your ankle, rolling it on purpose. Okay, and just go a few times in each direction. Get a little feel for balancing on one leg. And then let's plant left foot. All right, so keeping feet hip width parallel to each other. Okay, just relax your toes, ground the corners of your feet. Standing tall for mountain. Okay, for mountain pose, you want to use just enough effort to stack the joints, to keep the natural curvature of your spine. Soften the shoulders, the chest. Okay. We want to avoid feeling like we're standing at attention. Find ease where you can, especially in the upper body. Okay. How is your breathing? How does it feel in this pose? Okay, there's lots of space for the breath. Take another full cycle, okay, keeping it through your nose. On your next breath, circle arms up. You can reach wide and bring arms above you. Then close hands at heart center. Again, circle the arms up. Grow taller as you reach high. And bring hands to heart. One more time, circle arms overhead. Let's fold forward, hinging at your hips. Okay, so knees could bend. That might help you maintain a longer torso. Hands are on the ground, maybe higher on blocks. Just take another breath in your first fold, keeping weight more in the front of your feet, okay, helping you to engage your legs. Okay, keep weight forward as you take a halfway lift. Okay, your chest is reaching past your toes. Palms could press on shins. Low belly slightly contracted, okay, to create more space in the lower back. Okay, let's fold again. Hands and head down. Okay, take another halfway lift. Then tabletop, planting palms. Okay, let's bring knees to the mat. So in our tabletop, your arms and thighs are like the legs of a table. Keep them vertical, joints stacked. Spread fingers apart, rooting base knuckles especially. And just to take some load off the wrists. And now just to warm up wrists and get them more prepared for weight bearing, move your torso forward, maybe chest past your wrists or fingers. And then hips back. Just rock several times as far forward and back as you can while keeping arms straight. Do your best. You do less if you need less. Let's meet in center. Moving on to cow. Start from your pelvis. Think of tipping the pelvis, tipping that bowl forward, and inviting the spine to move into extension. Then for cat, tip the bowl back. You think mid-spine to the ceiling to round your back. And then again, let's go to cow, trying to move the pelvis, allow it to tilt, then cat. Okay, breath could help move the body. Just move on your own through cow and cat. Okay, 2 to 3 more cycles. Can you use the ground? Really press into it. Another cycle. Okay, we'll meet in neutral next. All right, so now we're going to use the block, if you have one, to just move through the hip joint and also kind of wake up the hamstrings, the backs of your thighs. So I'm going to put your block between your right calf and thigh. If you can, squeeze the block. You can also use your right heel, okay, and push it against your thigh. Okay, so you're going to push your right heel or ankle or thigh. Good. Squeeze the block and lift your right knee behind you. Okay, so as you squeeze the block, you're activating your hamstring. Try not to let the block go. And when you're ready, start to draw circles, okay, with that right knee behind you while holding the block, recruiting your hamstring. Okay, just go several times in one direction. Okay, can you just move your right thigh and nothing else? so we're more rigid through the rest of the body. Okay, go the opposite way if you haven't already switched. Press through your hands. Try not to drop the block. You notice what's engaging here. All right, and then we're gonna set right knee down. You can take the block out from that position and just take a pause. Then we'll get ready for the other side. Okay, now placing your block between your left thigh and heel, maybe the ankle, wherever you can squeeze that block to activate your hamstring. Okay, strong through arms, pressing through hands. Keep shoulder blades slightly protracted. Raise your left knee and draw circles. Okay, just trying to move left thigh in your left hip. Okay, just go a few times in each direction. If you feel looser or more wobbly in the body, make the circles smaller. And we don't want to compensate. How's your breathing? Okay, just go in each direction. And then we'll set left knee softly down. And you can set your block aside. All right, so back to tabletop. Feel free to give hands a light shake. And from tabletop, bring your elbows down. Just align your elbows under your shoulders. Okay, keep hips pretty much over the knees still. Low belly lifted. Okay, so we're not back bending, not sinking here. Let's try to move the shoulder blades away from each other more. So just remember protraction. Okay, this is a very stable position. Now retract your shoulder blades towards each other. Again, protract the shoulder blades apart, pressing arms through the mat. Then retract with control. One more time. Shoulder blades move apart. Keep them here. Okay, continue to push down your elbows. Don't let them slide farther away from each other, and step one foot back at a time. So coming into a forearm plank. Okay, option to have your knees down behind your hips for less load. Okay, that's just a supported version. There's different versions you can try. Firm your thighs, and don't let gravity pull you down. Another breath. Okay, gently lower the knees, then your hips. We'll try Sphinx. So untuck the toes, keep your elbows under your shoulders. You might gaze forward or slightly down. Okay, let's just breathe in this back bend. Maybe you sense the muscles that we were just engaging, now lengthening, stretching gently. You hug your front ribs in a bit, lessening pressure on the spine. Another breath. Okay, lowering the chest. Okay, bring your arms back, arms long with palms facing up. Point through your toes and just lift your arms here. Okay, try to press your palms on the ceiling. In slow motion, parachute your arms down. Repeating that, lift your arms. Okay, hold them here, and then lift your chest. Like a low cobra, press your feet and hips into your mat. Then slowly parachute down. Okay, adding on. Again, raise your arms, then your chest, and now legs and feet. Locust pose. Okay, strong in the whole back chain of the body. Still breathing through your nose. Another cycle. Yeah, let's lower down with control. Plant your hands just outside the rib cage. Hands under elbows. Keep your feet and hips heavy, hands light for a low cobra. Then from here, go to child's pose. So your big toes can touch. Just settle your hips back towards your heels. It's okay if hips need to be higher. The arms could stay extended forward. Can you walk your fingertips forward another inch? Tabletop next. Restacking shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. Okay, let's keep the core intact. So not hammocking in the low back or belly. Just look ahead of fingertips and extend right leg behind you. So option to keep your toes on the ground or raise your leg just hip height, no higher. Point your toes down to level hips. So here we don't want to shift side to side or laterally too much. We also don't want to rotate through the pelvis. Okay, stay or reach left arm forward. Maybe your left arm could stay lifted by your left ear. Feel the strong line through your left arm, head, pelvis, and right leg. Another breath. Then tabletop. Enjoy a moment here. Then extend left leg back. Toes either on the mat or keep them pointing down if you're raising your leg. Then to add more, reach right arm forward. Grow longer, creating this dynamic line in the body. Try not to break that line by back bending. Avoid rotating the pelvis. Can you level your hips? One more breath. Tabletop. Take a pause. Now slide your hands just a half step forward. Keep your index fingers pointing straight forward, maybe slightly out. You can always explore different positions. And then tuck toes under. We'll go to downward facing dog, raising the hips. Push your hands forward more. Encouraging the hips back and up. Set up a wide enough and long enough foundation. Each day your downward facing dog alignment might be slightly different. Can you create balance between your upper and lower body? Allow the head to rest. On your next breath, rise up on the toes. Bend your knees. Take many steps forward, placing feet between your hands. Feet could be hip width or together. Half lift. Fold. Then rise to standing. Okay, arms reach above you. Hands to heart. Okay, again, arms circle up. Folding forward, hinge at your hips. Halfway lift. Plank pose. So in a high plank, arms are straight, shoulders over wrists. Legs can be straight too, or like our forearm plank earlier, you could have the knees down. Either way, be strong, resisting gravity. Look and lean forward. In slow motion, lower all the way to your stomach. Untuck toes. And let's take the arms back again with palms facing up. And without pushing too hard, lift everything. Okay, maybe arms higher, legs closer. Let's extend the wrists. So your fingertips point down, palms are facing back. Bend your elbows and think of lifting your elbows so you can place your hands outside your ribs. Press the tops of your feet down on your mat. Stay or go to a high cobra. Option for upward facing dog, firming and floating the thighs. Downward facing dog. Tuck your toes, raise hips. Okay, take right leg back and up for a three-legged dog. Right knee towards your nose. Step your foot forward. All right, so just stay in a runner's lunge, basically, on the ball of the left foot. We'll keep hands on the ground. You might tent fingertips or put hands on blocks if you need to raise the floor. Then a few times, we're gonna move hips back, lengthening right leg. Your right leg does not need to be straight. Tack your right hip back and lunge forward. Keeping the entire right foot planted, you might explore letting your right knee go past your ankle. Then again, bring hips back. You can move hands. Then lunge forward, knee over ankle, or let it go farther forward. Again, hips back. Then lunge forward. More weight to right foot. Step left foot forward, next to right. Take a halfway lift, then fold. Rise to standing, take arms above you, no rush. Hands close at heart. So we'll take a variation of sun salutation. Again, arms overhead, grow taller. Fold forward, leading with your chest. Halfway lift. High plank. Plant your palms, step back. On toes or knees, look and lean forward. As an integrated piece, try to lower halfway or all the way. Push up here. Then upward facing dog or cobra to downward facing dog. How's your breathing? Check in. Still rhythmic and quiet through the nose. Calm and composed. Okay, upper body strong as you send your left leg back. And left knee to your nose. Step forward softly. Okay, stay in what's basically a runner's lunge with hands framing left foot. Right heel is elevated. Okay, take your time, rocking hips back, lengthening left leg to your own degree. Tack left hip back. Now let's lunge forward, and you could keep left knee over the ankle, okay, or try to move your knee farther forward while keeping the whole foot on your mat. Okay, let's move hips back again. Hands could reposition, then lunge forward. Maybe your knee goes past your ankle, maybe even past your toes. Okay, hips back. Then lunge forward. Yes. More weight to left foot. Step right foot forward. Half lift. Fold. Come up to standing. Arms above you. Close it out, hands at your heart. And rest your arms at your sides. Okay, mountain pose. Tall stance, just an opportunity here to reset. Okay, keep the curves of your spine, head over chest, over hips. Okay, so now just lift your heels. Practicing control, heels are as high as you can get them. Can you root the base of your big toes more? Okay, slowly lower your heels down. And again, raising heels, strong through the calves, backs of ankles, under the feet. In slow motion, lower your heels. Okay, again, heels rise. Okay, we'll stay here and breathe. You could keep your gaze forward, or for a little more challenge, slowly turn your head to the right. Just turning through the neck, look over your right shoulder. Come back to center, heels still lifted. Slowly turn your head left. So when you want to play with moving your gaze, doing it slowly can help you balance. Come back to center, let it wobble, and return your heels to the mat. Okay, ground the feet evenly now. And sit into chair. Bending knees. Feet could stay, together or hip width. Hips sit lower, arms reach up by your ears. Reach with energy. Okay, when arms are above your head, you want to allow shoulder blades to naturally rotate up which could cause your shoulders to lift as well. Okay, let it all move together. Okay, can you sit deeper? Pretend your chair is getting shorter. And just slightly contract the lower belly, and while still being able to breathe fully. Another cycle. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Okay, bring your hands or fingertips down to the mat. Step your left foot back. Stay on the ball of your left foot and make sure there's about a hip width distance side to side. Feet on railroad tracks. High lunge. You can bring arms overhead. So we'll try a little sequence of movements. You want to be very mindful, of course, of the joints, especially knees. Okay, you can always do less or back off if you need less. Okay, so with control, begin to lower your arms by your sides, and at the same time, try to lower your left knee. It could hover off the ground. Okay, hug hips into midline, then rise up to your high lunge, arms overhead. Okay, again, let's lower the arms and left knee. You could allow right knee to move forward, then rise to high lunge. Okay, no hurry. One more time, let's lower the arms and left knee. Try to hover, pause here. Rise to high lunge. Hands to the mat. Go to three-legged dog with right leg back and up. Then downward facing dog. On your next breath, rise up on your toes. Bend knees and step or walk to the top. Halfway lift. Fold forward. You can keep hands down. And now we'll step right foot back. Stay on the ball of the foot. When you're ready, come up to your high lunge or crescent. Arms to the sky. Okay, so our lunges don't need to look the same. They don't even need to feel exactly the same. But we just want to try to keep the back heel elevated to square hips forward. Yes, tack your left hip back. And left knee bends a lot, right knee might bend a little too. And that could help maintain space in the lower spine. And then as you breathe smoothly, let's lower the arms slowly, and right knee lowers too. Rise to high lunge. Lots of power in the legs and hips. Again, lowering arms, right knee might hover, and come up smoothly. One more time. We're gonna lower arms, right knee, hips kind of lower, left knee could move forward. Then rise to high lunge. Hands to your mat. Three-legged dog with the left leg back. Downward facing dog. Give yourself a little wiggle, a little movement here if you'd like. Arrive in your pose. On your next breath, come up high on toes. Bend knees and step to the top. Halfway lift. Folding forward. Come up to standing. Hands at your heart. Recentering here. Arms by your sides. Just maintaining ease where you can. A little more strength from your legs, your feet pushing to the floor. And in through the nose. Breathing out through the nose. All right, so let's try some one-legged stuff. Let's focus a little bit more on hip extension and hip flexion. So extension is when your leg moves behind you, okay, this causes the front of your hip to open, and this requires hamstring strength. The opposite is flexion, where you close the front of your hip, bringing your leg forward. So we'll just bring our awareness to those two actions. Start with hands on your hips. Let's do some hip extension first. So you're simply going to put more weight into your right foot. You could lift your left heel. Okay, just easing into balancing on one leg. When you're ready, raise your left knee. Okay, so we're actually bringing left hip into flexion right now. Okay, now, still bending your knee about 90 degrees, line up your thighs. So like a flamingo here, if flamingos stand like this, you're going to keep that 90-degree angle. You could dorsiflex your left ankle. Okay, can you feel with your hands how the pelvis is pretty level? It's more in a neutral position. Okay, without moving the front hip points, without tipping your pelvis forward, at least not too much, just try to move your left thigh behind you. So a little bit back and up. Okay, this is your hip extension. Feel your hamstring working. Your pelvis might tip forward a touch, okay, just not too much here. It's like a very toned down dancer pose. Maybe you can lift your thigh another millimeter, maybe half a millimeter. Breathe. Okay, supporting leg strong, hug your right hip into midline. All right, so keep your left knee bent and just bring it forward. As a little counter, can you lift your knee higher, interlace fingers over your left knee or under the thigh? Okay, and we'll just passively flex the hip more using hands, pulling your knee towards your chest. Okay, like when you're moving pose. Okay, now can you keep your knee lifted? Okay, and just reach the arms up. Active hip flexion, pull your knee up. Another breath. Okay, now left foot down, release arms by your sides. Okay, give things a little shake. I always like a little wiggle between sides, especially on one leg. Now hands on hips, weight to your left foot. You could just raise right heel first. Supporting leg is really strong, rooting you, but keep it responsive, willing to adapt. Okay, then raise right knee. Try to keep hips level. You can use hands actually for feedback, feeling the pelvic bones, and then while still bending right knee about 90 degrees. Okay, bring your thighs in line with each other. Okay, can you feel the front hip points, maybe with your fingertips? Okay, keep those hip points pointed forward more, and move your right thigh back, perhaps slightly up. Okay, strong through the hamstring. Okay, your pelvis could tip forward just a touch. Avoid tipping it a lot. Try to raise your thigh another millimeter. Tall chest, another breath. Still bending right knee, bring it forward and up. Okay. You could interlace fingers over or in front of your knee, maybe under your thigh, and use your hands to just flex your hip more passively. Okay, now just think of contracting, keeping the front right hip contracted. Recruit those hip flexors without letting your knee fall too much. Take arms to the sky, reach up to the ceiling. Keep pulling your knee up. Another breath. Right foot down, arms could rest. Take your wiggles, your shakes. Okay, we're gonna balance on one leg again. This time just playing with the block. So just taking this movement snack, if you will, to focus more on coordination, balance, to wake up stabilizers through the legs and hips, and just kind of play with the brain more. So standing on your, let's see, right foot, you're gonna raise your left knee and just keep the block in your left hand, okay? So block in left hand, left knee is lifted, okay? This will be kind of like transitioning in and out of Warrior 3, but you could keep your left knee bent. So when you're ready, you're going to hinge forward at the right hip, then just set your block down. Just start easy, placing the block in front of you, in front of the right foot. Okay, then keep the block there and stand back up with your left knee lifted. All right, if you need to hold on to something, that's cool. Again, hinge forward. Pick up the block with your right hand this time. You're gonna take the block up with you as you stand tall again, blocking your right hand. Okay, hinge forward. Now make it more challenging for yourself by setting the block somewhere else, maybe off the side of your mat or farther forward, you choose. And stand up without the block, still on your right foot. And then we'll hinge forward, pick up the block with your left hand. Okay, and then we'll rise with the block in your left hand. So we'll try that one more time. Hinging forward. Set the block somewhere else. You can make it extra hard, maybe putting the block behind your right leg. Rise without the block. And hinge again. Pick up the block with your right hand. Okay, it doesn't have to look perfect. It'll be a little shaky, weirder the better. Stand up with the block in your right hand. Then we're gonna hinge, set the block somewhere else. Maybe reach farther forward, rise without the block. And last time on this side, hinge, grab the block with your left hand. And we'll stand up, block in left hand. All right, set your right foot, or left foot down, and just shake it out. Okay, especially that supporting leg. It's a great way to strengthen your hips, strengthen your balance and your brain all at once. Okay, so now holding the block in your right hand, weight to your left foot, raise your right knee. So block in the right hand. Right knee is lifted. This will be our, kind of resetting our base position. Hinge forward at your left hip, so your right leg will move back, and set your block down. You can start easy again, just place the block in front of you, and then rise up without the block. And your right knee lifted. Okay, again, hinge forward, pick up the block with your left hand, and we'll rise with the block in your left hand. All right, hinge again. Try something else, put the block in another spot, maybe near the top corner of your mat. Stand up without the block, still on your left foot. Hinge forward, pick the block up with your right hand. And stand up tall, block in right hand. All right, so again, you're gonna hinge. Set the block somewhere else. And then rise up, push through your supporting foot. And then we'll hinge forward, pick up the block with your left hand. Okay, stand up tall. Okay, I think we have one more cycle, so hinging, set your block somewhere else, off to the side or behind you. Come up, breathing, then hinge one more time. Grab the block with your right hand. Oh, I made this very hard for myself. And come up, block in right hand. And right foot down. Okay. All right, hope you had fun. That was fun for me. You can set your block down and just try to reset. Maybe a little wiggle again. Let's come to neutral in mountain pose. A familiar, maybe comforting posture. Joints stacked. Just enough effort to be tall. Breathing through your nose, quietly, rhythmically. On your next breath, reach arms overhead. Folding forward, hinge at your hips. Take a halfway lift. Then a ball squat. You can bring your hands down. My cat Taro is joining for a second. So in a ball squat, you can just curl and tie around your spine, hips towards heels, maybe forehead to knees. Then looking forward, sit on your mat. Whoop. And let's just step feet in front of you about as wide as the mat. You can lean back on the hands or try not to lean on them for a little more challenge as you do windshield wiper legs. the knees go right to left. The pelvis is connected. Here you want to just let the pelvis also swivel side to side. Okay, just keep doing that. I'll face you to mirror you. And when your knees go to the right again, keep them there. You can turn your chest to the right too, so you're facing your right leg. And set up this 90-90 position, as close to 90-90 as you can. You might be able to comfortably keep your right hip on the mat. If you need to raise it up, put a block under your right hip. Okay, so try to keep right knee in front of right hip. Left knee is left of left hip. Knees bent about 90 degrees. Dorsiflex ankles, pulling toes towards your shins. Start up tall here with the chest. Okay, we're gonna add a little more strength to the outer hip, the right hip more specifically. Okay, getting into our external rotators. So just stay up tall. Can you energetically push your right leg, your shin bone, your ankle down through your mat? Push your leg down. And pushing your leg into the floor, you might sense outer hip and thigh stuff turning on. So push your leg down. And continue to push your leg down. And we'll add on an active stretch. So while you push your leg down without using your hands to push, you can start to lower your chest. So you're pushing down the leg, and as you lower your chest, okay, you can reposition the hands by lowering the chest and pushing the leg. You are actually stretching and engaging the same muscles, lengthening what's contracting. And this creates more stability through the joints. Okay, active stretching is a really great practice, especially if you are already more flexible or have more range of motion. Okay, just keep pushing your leg down. You can lower the chest to your own degree, maybe more or less. Keep pushing through your leg. Just give yourself 2 to 3 more breaths. Okay, you can push into the hands to bring the torso up, more upright. Okay, so get to the other side. You can place your left hand behind you. Let's point both knees to the ceiling and try to keep knees apart, maybe pull them farther away from each other using your outer hips. Then we'll swivel knees to the left. Okay, so now your left leg is in front of you. Knees still bent about 90 degrees. You can have your block lifting your pelvis more. Okay, left knee in front of left hip, right knee to the right of the right hip. Okay, start tall, dorsiflex ankles, just to activate and engage more stuff, okay, helping you to reach more ranges of motion. Okay, so to try that first part of the active stretch, try to push your left leg down, pushing it into the floor, through the floor. Okay. Cramps are normal to get in a muscle if it isn't used to an action. With time, the muscle will adapt and you'll have more options, less cramps. So as you push your leg down, you recruit more of your outer hip, outer thigh, the stuff that helps you rotate your legs externally. Now keep pushing your leg down. As you push, you could gently, gradually lower the chest, hinging at your left hip. Push your leg through the ground. So you're engaging what's trying to lengthen. By doing that, you create more stability. Okay, you'll build more control of your range of motion this way. So still actively stretching, push your leg down. Your chest could stay where it is. You might bring it lower, higher. Just do things in increments. Calming breath through the nose. Keep a steady rhythm. Keep pushing your leg down. 2 more breaths. And then using your hands maybe to lift up, upright in the torso again. Place your right hand behind you, point both knees to the sky. Try to pull your knees farther apart, recruit outer hips. Then keep your right knee bent and just place your right foot more centered in front of you. And then let's connect the sole of the left foot with the right foot. Hold your ankles or outer feet. Just one more seated, symmetrical fold. Sit as tall as you can. Okay, if it's hard to unround the back, try moving feet forward. Okay, and then again, at your own degree, hinge forward. Some rounding is okay in the spine, okay, but you might focus on length and keeping the chest higher if rounding bothers the lower back a lot. Okay, rather than pushing legs down with your arms, which you could easily do here, let's try to recruit outer hips again. Okay, just bring awareness to outer hips, see if they can move the knees down closer to the floor. Okay, then let's sit up, lift up, bring your legs together. Keep your block by your side within reach. And recline, lower down with control. Okay, once you are on your back, let's do a bridge pose. So feet can stay about hip width apart, parallel to each other. Arms can stay down, straight down by your sides, palms on the mat. Okay, pressing down the feet, raise your pelvis. Try to lead and lift with the front hip points. Okay, so here the hips are coming more into an extension. Hamstrings work, glutes can squeeze a little. You're even using your spine, a lot of your back chain. Pretend you're holding your block between your knees. Can you lift the pelvis another millimeter? In slow motion, lower the spine and pelvis down. Soften thighs, hips. Resting for a few moments. Okay, curl your knees towards your chest. Give legs a light squeeze, maybe rock side to side. Keep your knees bending and take your block. Okay, with your block at its skinniest, narrowest width, put the block between your knees and squeeze it. Okay, recruiting inner thighs, deeper core. So we're gonna try to activate our internal hip rotators. Just bringing more balance, more options to your hips. So as you squeeze the block, stack your knees over your hips and bend them about 90 degrees. Dorsiflex ankles, just engaging more to help you reach more of your internal rotation. And then also try to bring your lower spine closer to the mat. Okay? Just kind of closing the gap between your low spine and the floor. Adding more stability to your low core, your hips. Now as you squeeze this block, can you move your feet away from each other, out away from center? Okay, so your thighs are rotating in and forward. Bring your feet back towards each other. Okay, really simple. As you hold your block, squeeze lightly, move your feet away from each other. Find your internal rotation. Back to center. Again, feet move apart. You just gather that strength from deep in your hips. Feet move towards center. And then just a few more times, move your feet away from each other. Bring them towards each other. Again, feet apart. Feet back to center. One more time. Moving your feet away from center. Try to hold here. Breathing, strong, pulling feet away from each other. One more breath. Then bring feet to center and set your block aside. Step your feet on the mat. You're going to soften thighs, hips. Resting here. Okay, keep your feet planted. Take them about as wide as your mat. You can move arms wide away from you, maybe overhead, or you could even place hands on your belly and do windshield wiper legs, right to left. Okay, like we did seated not too long ago. Feel free to turn your head in the opposite direction of your knees. Each side a couple more times. Knees to center. Happy baby. Okay, so if you can, reach for the feet. Option to hold ankles, shins, or even your thighs. Your knees might be wider than your torso. Invite a little motion. Okay, just take what you'd like here freely. Another stretch for the hips, lower back. Maybe you sense this stretching hamstrings. You can lengthen your legs. And if you'd like, settle down for a final resting pose. Okay, so your last posture, it might look like mine, everything to the ground, sprawl out if you have the space. And just get comfortable. Okay, make sure you feel supported. You might elevate your feet. Some other ideas are, legs up the wall, legs up a chair or a couch. Give yourself at least a couple minutes to rest, to honor all of your focus, your hard work. Just be as effortless as you can. Breathe naturally through your nose. Rest as long as you need. I appreciate you joining me, following along, and I hope that this empowers you. I hope that it enriches how you move through your day, through life. Thank you for your practice.